ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد, indeed we praise Allah, we praise Him, we seek His aid, His guidance, and His forgiveness. We seek Allah's refuge from the evil within our own hearts and the consequences of our evil deeds. Whoever Allah guides, none can lead astray. And whoever is allowed to be led astray, none can guide. I bear witness that there is no deity worthy of worship except Allah, and that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is His servant, His messenger, and the last prophet. Allah says in the Quran, O you who believe, be conscious of Allah in a manner that is befitting of Him, and die not except in a state of Islam. He also says, O mankind, be conscious of your guardian Lord, who created you from a single soul, and from Him created His mate. Be conscious of Allah, to your mutual relations, and to Him you demand your mutual rights. Verily, Allah is ever a watcher over you. He also says, O you who believe, be conscious of Allah, and always speak a word of truth. Always speak a word that's direct. You will rectify your affairs and forgive your sins, and whoever obeys Allah and His messenger has indeed achieved a great success. Today we're going to talk briefly, brothers and sisters, about the story of Prophet Ayyub alayhi salatu wasalam, or the story of the Prophet Job. And I'd like to come back to this story as often as possible because his story is especially relevant for our times, because we live in a time where many of us are facing a great deal of challenges and adversity. All of us in this room have personal challenges and adversity that we're dealing with. Look at the ummah as a whole. There's challenges and adversity. So we want to reflect upon this story of how one of Allah's great prophets dealt with tremendous adversity. Of course, we know that Ayyub, the story of Ayyub, is one that Christians and Muslims and Jews share alike. In English, we call him Job. Historians say Ayyub alayhi salatu wasalam was a rich man. He owned countless cattle. He had vast property and many children. So he was successful. Those things that we desire in this world, he had attained them. Beautiful family, money, property. He was rich and forbearing, though. He was known to be generous and forbearing. And it is said that he would not put on clothing if he knew of someone who didn't have any clothing. And he would not eat if he knew of someone who was hungry. But we find an interesting verse in the Quran where Allah says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وأيوب إذ نادى ربه أني مسني الضر وأنت أرحم الراحمين. It says, and remember Ayyub when he cried out to his Lord.
Verily, distress has seized me, and you are the most merciful of those who show mercy. So what happened to Ayub? We find that he had difficulty on top of difficulty on top of difficulty. First, he was afflicted with different types of diseases. As-Sudi, one of the Tabi'in, said that his flesh, he had a skin ailment that made his flesh drop from his body. And it said that his whole body was afflicted with disease except his heart and his tongue. And he used his tongue to remember Allah, to make the dhikr, to remember Allah, even though he faced illness. As a result of his illness, and we can relate to this, right, because if you don't have health care, you can't go to work. As a result of his illness, he lost his job, he lost his wealth, he lost his ability to make transactions. And many of the people who had been around him when he was doing well deserted him. This is what we find when we have difficult times, you know, when you're doing well. Everybody, like they say everybody loves a winner. Everybody loves a winner. But when you start struggling and having difficulty, then you really find out who your true friends are, right? When you wreck the Mercedes Benz, you drive a little backup Honda, you find out who your true friends are. The only person who showed compassion to Ayub alayhi salam was his wife. And she remembered the good times and stayed with him during the tough times. But she also became destitute also. And she had to take a job to feed herself. And there's some dispute about how long Ayub was sick, alayhi salam. Some scholars say that it was 18 years. Some scholars say it was more than that. He was sick for multiple years, so it wasn't just like a flu. It wasn't just like a flu. And then, after losing everything, Ayub, though, he stayed patient, making the dhikr. Him and his wife together. Then the people in the towns, local towns, when they saw his illness, they began to talk and wonder if it was contagious. So then they refused to hire his wife. So first she was going to work, but they refused to hire her because they feared that whatever he had would be transmitted to her, and then she would give it to them. Just rumors. But now his wife couldn't get a job. So out of desperation, she began cutting her hair and selling her hair to provide for food. And this is when Ayub alayhi salam called out, Ani masaniya durru wa anta arhamur rahimin. Now put yourself in Ayub's situation. All you work for, your retirement, is gone. You lose your car, you're back on the RTS. You're riding your bike. Not for fitness, you're riding your bike because you don't have another choice. All the nice suits that you had, now you gotta get rid of those suits so you can pay the bills. The jewelry that you purchased, you gotta let that jewelry go. In addition to that, Ayub's children, several of his children died. They passed away. Now think about this. You lose all your material things and your friends leave you. Now your family starts to fall apart. You lose your physical beauty. You used to look in the mirror and say, MashaAllah, Allah created me beautiful. But the illness from your skin, now you look at the mirror and you feel like, you detest what you see in the mirror. You lose your position in society. You lose your position. Would you still be steadfast? If all you had left was your tongue in that situation, would you use it to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Or would you use it to curse and say vicious things? This is important because oftentimes when we have difficulties, we don't respond well. Right? He even counsels somebody else. Yeah, hey, have supper. If you're having some difficulty, brother, have supper. We tell our brothers. Then it hits us. We lose it. We lose it. And this is also important because in our society today, the things that he lost are indicators of success, right? So when you see a brother down the street in that new Cadillac, he jump out, got a beautiful suit on, couplings on the stove, nice shoes, mashallah, brother so-and-so's doing great. Brother so-and-so might not even be making salah. But brother so-and-so got this new car and everything, you say, man, brother so-and-so is, man, that brother got it going on. So this is what we say when we see that. MashaAllah. And then if you see someone with raggedy clothes, run down property, we assume things about that. That person's not as valuable. A person like that coming to the masjid, we look at him, who's this brother? So Allah took all those things away from our youth that if we lost them, we would lose all of our status. But yet he was still, his heart never wavered. His heart never wavered. Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu said, that after this dua, Allah sent Ayub down the dress of the people of paradise. And his wife came along, and she could not recognize him. She said, "O slave of Allah, where did the afflicted person go who was here?" She said, "I am afraid whether dogs or wolves have eaten him." She kept speaking to him for a long time. He then said to her, "What is wrong with you? I am Ayub." She said, "Why are you mocking me?" He said, "I am indeed Ayub. Allah has returned my body to me." And Ibn Abbas who said, Allah had also returned to him his wealth, and then he returned to him some family. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم واستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم.
الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين.
So, a very short story with some very powerful lessons. So I just want to close by looking at the lessons of the life of Ayub. First, always put your trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah is Al-Hafid, right, the protector. He is Al-Razaq, the provider. Al-Musta'an, the one whose help is to be sought. Al-Nasir, the helper. Al-Kareem, the generous. Al-Wahhab, the one who gives and gives and gives and gives. So, remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and put your trust in Him when you face difficult. When you face difficult. And this is, again, not always easy to put in practice. Right? It's not always easy to put in practice. So, when we get a blessing, mashallah, your income tax is coming, you get to praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You get a little couple thousand in your bank account. You get to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala making all kind of dhikr. Right? But are you similar? Is your heart still strong when you have some debt that you need to overcome? So have trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Second thing, if you have wealth, know that your wealth is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And He can give it, and He can take it. So spend your wealth wisely. And don't think that you're always going to have wealth. Don't think you're always going to have wealth. You see these stories, you turn to CNN, and you have this guy, he had a small, startup IT company, and then, the stock market fell, and he's sleeping on his friend's couch. We see it all the time. All the people who won the lottery, now they're broke. This happens. This happens. You think about the GM workers. They work 20, 30 years for GM. GM goes into bankruptcy. Oh, we can't give you a retirement no more. You lived good for 20 years and you had a retirement. It's gone. It's gone. That's just some of the trials of life. So what this means that if you have some wealth, be like Ayub, be forbearing, give. Don't think, oh, I'll give later. You might not have it later. And it's a reminder that the risk comes from Allah. Because see, we have this thing, we say, of course I deserve this money. I got a PhD. There are people that I went to graduate school with who got PhDs like me. I finished my PhD in 2005. One young woman, she's very smart. 15 years later, she hasn't been able to land a permanent job with a PhD. 15 years later, she's never had a permanent job at a university. I don't know. She's probably smarter than me. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave me this risk and didn't give it to her. Even though she has the highest education in the land, she's going from college to college, right? Teaching adjunct position, getting 2,000 here, 3,000 here, working harder than somebody who works at McDonald's, and she has a PhD. So don't think that you are entitled to something. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives to whom He wills. And so if you have it, be thankful. Number 3, remain patient during difficulty. See, all of us deal with difficulty in some way, right? Some people, they drink. That's what happens. They face some difficulty, they go straight to the liquor store, right? That's what happens in our society. I got people in my family like that. So as soon as it comes difficult times, go straight to the liquor store. They have to go get some drugs. A lot of these people who are doing these drugs and things, they're self-medicating to deal with their difficulty. That's the reality. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, in difficulty, remember Him and call on Him. Don't forget that. If you are poor, know that Allah is Ar-Razaq. If you have a problem, know that Allah is An-Nasir, the helper. If you are sick, know that Allah grants Shifa. Know that it is Allah first that you should turn to if you have sickness. Because all of us, oftentimes, we have health problems, right? All these different health issues. We keep it to ourselves. You haven't seen brother so-and-so in a while. Where is he? He in the hospital. You found, oh man, subhanAllah. Brother so-and-so was in the hospital. I didn't even know he was in the hospital. So if you have a health problem, think about Ayub. Right? More than anything, he was patient and he called on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yeah, go to the doctor. Get your medicine. Do all those things, but know Allah's going to be the one who facilitates that medicine. And, also, if you lose a loved one, he lost many children, be patient, have sabr. It's very difficult. Now we look at the situation, like I had to come to terms with the fact that now in my 40s, as I'm talking to my wife, I said, in the next 10 years, my parents may be gone and your parents may be gone. It's the reality. It's reality, right? You don't want that, but this is the reality of this life. So as a result of that, this is inevitable. Losing loved ones is an inevitable thing. And Allah determines when it happens. So when it happens, have sabr, be patient. And put your trust in Him. And remember Him. Let the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be your medicine when you have health problems and difficulty. Ayub alayhi salam never stopped praising Allah. And the final point, then we'll close, is that support your spouse through thick and thin. Support your spouse through thick and thin. We have a saying in this country that romance without finance is a nuisance. That's what they say. And you know, you got all these songs, and you got to have a job to get with me. Can you pay my bills? Like, you know, it's all these things in the culture, in the broader culture, that insinuate, that imply that, you know, if your man is broke, it's time to go. Right? This is what's implied in the culture. But Allah is telling us that when you have difficulty with, you know, what you should do more than anything is support each other. If you're married, don't let the difficulty be the source of separation. The number one predictor of divorce in America is financial difficulty. Why? Because we don't have a spiritual foundation for our marriage. Our marriage is based on dunya, material things, right? And so soon, if your marriage is based on material things, soon as the challenges come, you have no spiritual basis to defend the marriage. There's an interesting story where Ayub alayhi salam got mad with his wife because he found out that she was selling her hair. He thought that was too much. He said, when I'm well, I'm going to give you lashes. So Allah said he was angry, speaking out of anger, right? And Allah said in the Quran, in reverse, in response to this, وَخُذْ بِيَدِكَ دِغْتًا فَضْرِبْ بِهِ وَلَا تَحْنَثْ. And take your hand a bundle of thin grass, and strike there with your wife, and do not break your oath. So Allah wanted to make it so he would not have to break his oath. So he said, take 100 strands of grass, and then tap your wife with it. So what is Allah telling him? You made this oath, you're probably going to keep your oath, but we're going to make it, you keep this oath in a way that guarantees that no harm comes to your wife. So no matter what your difficulty happens, you shouldn't raise your voice at her, you shouldn't put your hands on her, right? You shouldn't, do you know who I am, woman? No matter what happens, when the difficulty comes, try to keep your marriage together. Pray together, be together, support each other. And then the end result of sabr for the believer is either Allah returns that thing for you in this life, or you're rewarded in the hereafter. Right? So there's no loss for the believer, provided that you respond properly. Right? You get to acting crazy, that's a different story. Provided you respond properly. But if you're patient, you remember Allah, you're steadfast in the difficulty, then you're going to get a reward in this life, inshallah. Or Allah's going to give you a great reward in the hereafter. So you can't lose. You can't lose. So brothers and sisters, if you're facing difficulty, and all of us are facing some type of difficulty, be patient. Be steadfast. Put your trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And don't let the difficulty take you out of character. And don't let the difficulty cause you to do something that is displeasing with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? Don't let the difficulty take you out of your character. And don't let the difficulty be something that causes you to do something that is displeasing to your Lord. Remember that. Remember that. Once the Prophet ﷺ was walking past a gravesite, and there was a woman who was grieving really bad because her husband had passed away. And he tried to console her, and she pretty much didn't know who it was. She said, basically, you know, you don't know what I've been through. You don't know who I am. You know, basically, leave me alone. So then this woman found out that that was the Prophet ﷺ who was trying to console her. So she went back to him and she said, oh, Rasulullah, you know, I'm sorry. I'm just upset. And he said, the time for patience is during the difficulty, not after it. The time for sabr is during the difficulty, not after it. Meaning, I can't go off on you, right? And then expect you to just understand. No, have sabr during the time of difficulty. Maintain control during the time of difficulty. That's when it needs to really happen. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us amongst those who are patient. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us amongst those who have forbearance. And for those of brothers and sisters who are sick, may Allah restore their health. And those who have debt, may He eliminate their debt and increase their wealth. And those people who have lost loved ones, may He grant them ease. May He grant them ease. And those people who have any kind of health ailment, may He make it easy for them. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذريتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا واخطأنا ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد أقم الصلاة